Hello and welcome back to another Orange Coast College Mathematics video. In this video, we're going to be talking about finding the area of various shapes. So to start off, the area of a rectangle is just going to be its length times its width, so the two sides multiply together. Then the area of a parallelogram is going to be the base times its height, which again is going to be one of these sides and then times its height. Now this is very similar to the area of a rectangle. If I were to kind of cut up this piece right here and I chop off this little triangle and then I move it over here, it would actually kind of fill in this spot. And so we would end up having just a normal rectangle, and the area of a rectangle would just be its base times its height, or its length times its width. Then the area of a triangle is just going to be 1/2 times its base times its height. Then the area of a trapezoid is going to be a little bit more involved. It is 1/2 times the quantity a plus b, where a and b are the two parallel sides, and then times h, which is its height. Then finding the area of a circle is just going to be pi times the radius squared. And if you wanted to find the circumference of a circle, it's just going to be 2 times pi times r. The circumference is just a fancy way of saying the perimeter of a circle. With all these formulas in mind, let's go ahead and try our hand at some problems. So first off, I want to find the area of this whole thing. However, this is not just one of the normal shapes, but we can kind of cut it up into multiple pieces. If I kind of slice it right here, then I have half of a circle, and then I also have a rectangle. I do know how to find the area of a rectangle by itself, and I do know how to find the area of a circle by itself. Then I can just kind of cut that area of the circle in half, because we're only dealing with half of a circle. So now that we kind of have our strategy down of what we're going to do, we need to first figure out the radius of this circle. Now the radius is just going to be half of this length right here, this full length. And so the full length is 7 inches, so half of that is going to be 3.5 inches. And now we can find the area of both the rectangle and the circle. So let's find the area of the rectangle first. The area of the rectangle is just going to be its length times its width, which is just going to be 7 times 11, which is going to give us 77 inches squared. Then finding the area of the circle is going to be pi r squared. However, this is half of a circle, so we need to multiply by 1/2. So plugging things in, we'll have 1/2 times pi times 3.5 inches squared. Plugging this into a calculator, we would get that it's approximately 19.24 inches squared. Then, to find the area of the whole thing, we just add them together. And so the area is going to be 77 plus 19.24, and that's going to give us 96.24 inches squared. Moving on to number 2, we have ourselves a rectangle, except it's kind of missing a chunk right here. Now, we're going to use a similar strategy to number 1, where we're going to cut this thing up into pieces and then find the areas of the smaller individual pieces. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and cut off this kind of top rectangle, and then I'm going to cut this large rectangle into 2 pieces. I'm then going to label this purple side X, and then I'm going to label this kind of top portion up here as Y. Now, since I know that this is a rectangle, I know that this side and this side have to be the same length, so this is going to be 4 meters long. And now, my real question is, how do I find y and how do I find x? Well, if I look at this as a full rectangle, I know that this side and this side have to be the same length. So, 7 meters has to be the same as this smaller piece plus this purple side, as in 7 has to be equal to 2 plus x. And so we can set up an equation. So, x plus 2 has to be equal to 7, and this is going to imply that x is equal to 5 meters. We can do the same thing for y. I know that this is going to be a rectangle, And so this top side has to be the same as this bottom side. And so I can say, hey, the yellow piece, y, plus this 4 meters, this black portion over here, has to be equal to 10 meters in total. And so we can again set up an equation. Y plus 4 has to be equal to 10, and so this is going to imply that y is equal to 6. Now that we have x and y, we can find the areas of each of these individual pieces, and so let's just go ahead and label them real quick. I'll call this box number 1, I'll call this box number 2, and I'll call this box number 3. So if I want to find the area of the entire thing, I just need to find the areas of each of these boxes and add them together. So, since they're all rectangles, they're all relatively easy. It's just the length times the width. So the area of box 1 is going to be 5 times 6. And then we'll add the area of box 2, which is going to be 4 times 5. And then we'll add the area of box 3, which is going to be 2 times 4. Simplifying this out, we're going to get 30 plus 20 and then plus 8, which comes to a grand total of 58 meters squared. Let's move on down to our last problem. Now our last problem has a circle kind of missing from a trapezoid. So our strategy here is going to be to find the entire trapezoid and then subtract the area of this circle. So let's go ahead and note the two areas that we're going to have to find. The area of a trapezoid is going to be 1/2 times a plus b times its height, and the area of a circle is going to be pi times r squared. Now I know all of these variables besides one of them. I don't quite know my height at the moment. However, I can easily find this. I know that the radius of this circle is 4.5 inches, and that's going to account for a radius going in any direction. And so what I can do is I can have a radius coming down here, and I know that this is going to be 4.5 inches. And then I can also have another radius going directly up, which will also be another 4.5 inches. And so we can actually just create our height by using two of our radii. So, adding those two radii together, we see that our height of our trapezoid is going to be 4.5 plus 4.5, which is 9 inches. With all of this, we can go ahead and find the area of our individual pieces. So let's find the area of the trapezoid first. So it's going to be 1/2 times 18 plus 22 times its height, which we said was 9 inches. And so this is going to become 1/2 times 40 times 9. 1/2 times 40 is going to be 20, and 20 times 9 is going to be 180 inches squared. Now we can find the area of our circle. The area of the circle is going to be pi times r squared. So we're going to have pi times 4.5 squared. And plugging this into a calculator, we're going to see that this is approximately 63.62 inches squared. But now, to find the area of just the shaded region, we have to do the trapezoid minus the circle, and that will give us just our shaded region. So, shaded region is going to be equal to our trapezoid minus our circle, which is going to be 180 minus 63.62, which gives us a grand total of 116.38 inches squared. Well, that's going to do it for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.